After 2 unsuccessful attempts to become the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo finally got his heart's desire when he was declared the winner of the governorship election in his home state in the wee hours of this morning. Soludo, an economist and former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, secured 112,229 votes to defeat his 2 major rivals, Valentine Ozigbo of the People's Democratic Party and Andy Uba of the All Progressives Congress. In his acceptance speech shortly after the final results was announced by INEC, Soludo thanked his family as well as the leaders and members of the All Progressives Grand Alliance for their support. He went on to commend the judiciary, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the security agencies for ensuring a level playing field before and during the hard-fought election. Soludo also congratulated and extended a hand of fellowship to other candidates in the election and urged them to join him to build Anambra together. Now joining us from Isofia in Aguata local government area in his first interview since he was declared winner of the election a few hours ago is Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, the new governor-elect of Anambra State, who will be talking to us about the significance of the victory for him and the people of Anambra and about his transition arrangements before his swearing in as governor of the state. Good morning, Professor Soludo, and thank you for coming on the morning show. Warm congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure. You've summarized it all. To God be the glory, and also to the people of Anambra State. The victory is theirs, and that also, given to all of us by God. As I said in my speech, this is a divine journey whose time has come. And I think in your summary, you did make a point that for quite a while now, I think I said it in my speech, that for 12 years, since the clamor by the people of the state for me to serve them, we have persevered, consistently endured, and focused on the mission. Like I said, at this stage in my life, what is there else to do? I've served the world, I've served Nigeria. It's now to serve my own people. And that call was very resounding by about 41 support groups with hundreds of thousands of members for 2 years now, paying their way through, organizing and pressuring and so on. And finally, here we are. And I call it a divine journey whose time has come. And grateful to God, grateful to all the stakeholders, especially the ordinary people of Anambra State. That woman selling crayfish or selling pepper or selling fish, as my mother did when she was alive, whose future is actually what is at stake. The woman, to make her life better, and if we can significantly improve hers, to make sure that her own children don't end up like her. That's what this whole thing is all about. And so for me, I feel humbled, greatly humbled by this mandate, which is overwhelming by the people, as it were. Despite the glitches and initial hiccups, you can still see, as you mentioned, the votes, 100 and whatever thousand. The closest is 53,000, and the next is 42. Fair enough. So we, in a statistical sense, saying the mandate was quite an overwhelming one, and we're humbled by that, and that raises indeed the enormity of the work ahead, because the expectations seem to be on the moon by the people, and I thank them immensely. Thank my governor and the leader of our party. Thank our national chairman, the party leadership at all levels, and the ordinary men and women of APGA who stood steadfastly to this, which we believe is our own throughout this whole period. And as you rightly summarized, I also extended gratitude to both INEC, the security agencies, the judiciary, particularly, we must single them out, the President of the Court of Appeal and the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and the justices that stood firm for the integrity of the judiciary all through this process. It's been quite a big one all through this process. So I can only say, to God be the glory.
Well, Professor Soludo, congratulations again. You know, we spoke earlier on with the chairman of the party, national chairman, Victor Oye, and he was just as excited and enthusiastic as you are. But you are popularly known as an economist, as a manager of the nation's finances, chief economic advisor, governor of the central bank, member of the Presidential Advisory Council on the economy. But this is a different ballgame. Now, as governor of Anambra State, what significant shift in style should we expect, particularly with regard with what was once described as the Soludo solution in public office?
Well, I think you will be hearing more from me on the inauguration day. You're asking me to give my inauguration day address now, and that will not happen, Ruben. For now, I can only say to you that we launched our manifesto, 72-page document, where we outlined our contract with the people of Anambra State, and which is partly continuity, part consolidation, and part transformation agenda to continue to build on the foundations led by our 4BS, including our ably working governor, giving us an international airport, international convention center, relative security, and all the goodies which the people of the state enjoy and for which they applaud him and trust APGA. We'll consolidate on those, continue several of those, and then up the game significantly in some ways. The governor himself, very humbly, during the campaigns, was telling the people of the state that the person he is supporting to succeed him will do better than him. And that, as you would, that's a very rare act of humility and magnanimity on his part. But you know, that places a lot of pressure as well on us. So I think in the days and months ahead, we will now, keep our heads down to get down to work on the transition process. And by the day of the inauguration, you will be hearing from me, but amplification or specifications of how we get the manifesto implemented from day one. As I said in my manifesto, we're not coming to learn on the job. We've done quite a bit of this in terms of transformations, and we'll hit the day where the ground running from day one. In terms of our agenda, as it were. So, coming back to your question as to what may be different or new and so on, I think we've outlined all those in our manifesto.
Right, Professor Soludo, if we have to wait till March to hear your inauguration speech, you can at least let us in on your plans, this transition process. What is your committee looking like? What shape is it taking? What are the priorities of your transition committee right now? Starting from now, actually.
Well, the first thing you do now is that because we have got time, we've got between now and March. The transition is actually in March. But it's a long process. See, the good news about the transition is that this is not something happening from the moon. You have people who are experienced. I understand quite a bit. I was the de facto Minister of National Planning. I've run huge bureaucracies even before, with 6 parastatals before going to the central bank. And that's basically what we are getting to. I understand a few things about how government works and the institutions and the bureaucracy and so on and so forth. I have been there before. And then this is an APGA government that is continuing. You have the governor in place who is our national leader and governor of the state, and with all the institutions and structures already in place. And so we expect a very seamless transition. Most of the people who will also be in the transition committee are also already part of the government itself, without the institutional memory and without it's not as if it's government people coming from the moon and coming to take over, and therefore. So this is APGA government in place. Just going to be a change of baton at the leadership. The structure is basically there. The institutions there, the personnel there, and so on. Maybe a few tweaks here and there, and the train continues to move. So you're not expecting any bombshell kind of thing in terms of, this is something that is going to come from the moon. This is APGA government in place, stable, steady, and with the personnel. So we'll just rejig a few things, and we're good to go.
So my question will be a little bit personal. I saw a photo of you as a schoolboy in APGA. And when I looked at that picture, I said, wow, how far you have come. I'm sure if you set your mind back, never would you have thought that you'll come this far. You know, losing your mom at a tender age and your father being the one walking you through life. He finally saw you become governor at the age of 90. He was kidnapped when he was 78, still on this, your political journey, and all you've been through. If you could take a panoramic look at your life, what does this mean to you?
I don't want to get very emotional, but it's really it's this moment that you look back and you have nothing but gratitude to the Almighty God for seeing us this far. You know, I said all through the campaign that I am a child from humble beginnings, but upon whose life, I mean, the grace of God has been upon me, even from my mother's womb, and has seen me through literally, even without my mom, who loved me dearly, and you know, had fantastic dreams for me. And you could say during the campaigns, one of the, in fact, the brand that was used to really project to the people of Anambra was Charlie, the son of Mbafo, Charlie Mbafo. And that actually resonated, and you can see, for me, very emotional thing. She died, but we trudged on. Life continued. And God has been eminently very, very kind. That in my 30s, I literally accomplished everything there was to accomplish, professionally and otherwise. I became a professor in my 30s and traveled around the world, consulted for over 20 international financial and development institutions around the world, living in Ethiopia, UK, Europe, and I mean America, and traveled to 45 others in all the continents. Before I was asked to come and join government as chief economic advisor, 3 weeks later also head of national planning, and 10 months later governor of central bank. For me, it's, how do they put it? God has been merciful. As it were, offered me the platform. And that's actually part of what is driving me in this whole journey. That if God in his infinite wisdom has blessed me this much in various ways, and at this stage of my life with super health, and I can only continue to serve God by devoting every minute of my remaining days to offering myself as a vehicle to leave this place better than we met it. That's actually what this thing is all about. You know, you go back to my, I saw the pictures. Actually, I posted several of them at my Uga Boys Secondary School platform about 2 years ago. I uploaded several of those on our, WhatsApp platform. And I was quite surprised 2 days ago. So they started flying around, several of them. We were pioneers. I was a pioneer student of that school. And I ended up as the senior prefect of that school for 2 years, my class 4 and class 5. I was a pioneer senior prefect. And, from there to the university. It's been a journey that I can only say one that is of a divine plan. And in my campaigns, I always started with a song in Igbo, Ifechukwu dere odegie, Ifechukwu kwuru okwu gie, which means what God has written, he has written. What God says will happen. And sometimes I will end with a song, who can battle with the Lord? I say nobody. And that's why my life, I believe that the scripts have been written, the pages are written. And I work hard, put in everything for whatever I set my eyes on, tenaciously, and literally work 24 hours. If it works out at the end, I then believe that that's in the divine plan. If it doesn't, I also go for a thanksgiving that is not. For example, after the 2009 attempt, I would say I was literally, conscripted to run for election then. And the 2010, when it didn't work, on the morning of 7th of February, a candidate was declared, the former governor was declared as a winner. Even in an election that he himself refused to vote in protest because he described it on a live television as a sham. 2 hours later, I congratulated him. I called a press conference and congratulated him and walked away. And we had a Thanksgiving service to thank God that this was not part of that plan, his plan for me at that moment in time. And at this point, I believe our prayer all this while was, God, you've seen through our heart. We want to serve our people honestly, selflessly. If it is your will, use me as an instrument. But not my will, thy will be done. If it is not your will, if this hadn't worked out, I would have a thanksgiving in gratitude to God that this isn't part of that divine plan. And it is this mindset that propels me at this moment in gratitude to God that, okay, thank you, Lord, that this is now the moment. This is the time that you want me to walk with the rest of the good people of Anambra State. Not just saying it glibly, everybody says the good people of Anambra State. This is a unique state with a unique characteristics. And we need to move the people forward. So the summary is that I feel elated coming from there to here. For me, it's really a challenge. And what I see ahead is the enormity of the work to be done. That's all I see, the enormity of the work to be done. It's not really a triumph. It's a triumph for some stage, but the greater work, 95%, is the work ahead.
Yes, Professor Soludo, certainly it's been a great journey. And for some of my friends who saw that your photograph from secondary school yesterday, they were fascinated by the look of the pair of trousers. They said, oh, this is Bongo. The Bongo man who is now...
Yes, that's the Bongo.
Who will now become king. But, so congratulations. But we need to take a short break now.
Thank you.
Please stay with us. After that break, we'll come back to you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Still with us is Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, the new governor-elect of Anambra State on the platform of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. Professor Soludo, thank you very much for staying with us. Well, quickly, I'd like to ask you.
Thank you.
In your victory speech, you reach out to other contestants, other candidates in that election. Has any one of them picked up the phone to congratulate you? We would like to know if that has happened. And then secondly, you talked about the transition committee earlier. That transition committee, are you going to make it inclusive? across party lines, or this will be for APGA, a winner takes it all. And finally, what is the guarantee that when you are sworn in as governor, you will continue with the legacy of your predecessors, and that there will be no quarrel between you and Willie Obiano, the incumbent governor, who will put in as much also to ensure the victory of your party?
I think, thank you very much. That's multi-barrel questions from the candidates to our transition and governance and so on. Thank you. The first is with regards to the my fellow contestants. Yes, I have I received calls. And I've also spoken to quite a number of them. Even before the announcement, I had received calls from Akachukwu. Of course, not just that he called, but he also issued a statement a day before yesterday on Friday. Not Friday, on Monday, actually, commending us and then supporting us and voted for us yesterday. You have the one from NNP, New Nigerian, whatever, party, and who has also called the one from Boot Party, my friend Obiaro Konkwa, who said he was going to issue a statement after yesterday's election. I've also tried to reach out to some of them. I called Val Ozibo, rang out, and I sent him a text 2 nights ago, before even the run yesterday, and he returned my text. And then I also called Andy Uba and sent him a text. Even, 2 days ago, I've already started reaching out to the candidates, and I will keep calling up literally each and every one of them. You see, because like I said, that's my experience. When I ran before, I'm probably the first candidate of a major political party in Nigeria who immediately after the election, even when the candidate declared winner himself, said that the election was a sham, I congratulated him and wished him well and walked away, because it's not worth it. If you want to serve, there should be no sense of desperation about this. And the divine will, I am a person who believes in the divine will. So, that's to that. I have woken up. I haven't even looked at my phone. I just got up, freshed up to run to this interview. I went to bed about 4 a.m. This morning. And I already saw about 280-something missed calls. So I don't know who else would have called. I haven't looked at my, since I went to bed, who may have called or who may not have called. But as you said, I'm reaching out to everyone. Let's come together. This task, there is enough room for everyone to serve in various capacities, in various ways, and so on and so forth. That is the spirit. That is the spirit of doing it. In APGA, I was quote and unquote disqualified as 2013 from running, but I remained in the party and supported my the current governor massively as well. But as my friend, as the governor of my state, and as leader of my party, so to speak. And I think this is the spirit. Even while Peter Obi was there, after the contest, still supported him, attended his events, and so on and so forth. And so I believe that that's the spirit. It is about service, and the job ahead will have to involve everyone. Will you involve them in the transition committee? Fair enough, whether it is transition committee or in the actual governance. Actually, more in the actual governance than at the transition committee. For me, my hand of fellowship is out, and I will reach out to them to come to us with their own ideas, because I have my manifesto already out as contract with the Anambra people. But then, when it comes to the execution of it, you will still benefit continuously, seeking other ideas, other refinements, and other nuances and focus, and so on and so forth. We are stronger together. When you aggregate all the different ideas and perspectives of these different candidates who offered themselves to serve the people, we can only be bigger. I am looking forward to having that team of, you remember the book, Team of Rivals, the kind of team that Abraham Lincoln put together after his election, in his government. So I'm looking forward to an all-inclusive thing. My major focus is value. Everyone who has something to offer the people of Anambra, everyone who can help us solve the problems of the people of Anambra is welcome and will be given the opportunity to come and solve those problems. It's about problem solving. It's about value addition, value creation for these people, for us to create that livable and prosperous homeland, to become that industrial technology leisure hub of West Africa that we envision in our manifesto. So we need everybody. And as I've said, I've already started reaching out to all of them for us to come together as brothers in the Anambra way, the Anambra spirit. It's in Anambra, we don't play politics of bitterness. We fight hard during the elections, we go to court, we do everything to win. But after the election, next weekend now, this weekend, we'll all be together in traditional marriages and funerals, exchanging banters and sharing drinks. That is the Anambra way and the Anambra spirit. And when you come to maybe post-governance, in the governance itself, you asked about my relationship with my governor. That's very interesting. It's a relationship that isn't just built, it's not a mechanical relationship. It's a relationship that is founded on deep mutual respect for one another. And many of this is a transition that, if you like, has lasted for by 20th of this month, probably for 5 years. It's not quite easy for transitions to last that long. From when he himself even had the view that I should succeed him, as the case may be. And we have bonded together, we've worked together, we have carried on. And for this whole 5 years, I think new relationships, strong relationships have been built. And I don't expect anything less going forward. Like I said, when you asked about the transition committee, and I told you there isn't much, it's not anything coming from the moon. You have the structures in place. He is there in place, first as a friend, and two, as the national leader of the party, and third, as the governor of the state. And in those capacities, those institutions and structures are in place. He has supported this cause, and very sincerely done so. I must qualify that. He has sincerely said so. And the way he talks about it, and he has spoken to me about it privately years now, 2016, 2017, 2018, 19. He kept telling me the reason he wants me to be the one to succeed him. And very important thing to say at this stage is that all the while that he talked about why he wanted me to succeed him, I was touched by one particular thing. He was concerned about the state itself. He said he had looked around the people who are, angling to be governor of the state, and he didn't think, in his own evaluation, he wanted someone who could take the state from where he would be living it and take the state much higher. And consistently, these were his words and concern. And I was touched by that. And when I also spoke at various fora, I did acknowledge that this is quite uniquely different in many cases, people who do transitions, they are looking for a minion. You know, they are minions to hand over to. No, he said he wasn't looking for one. He was looking for capacity. He was looking for somebody who he believed the state could, you know, continue on the upward trajectory that it has been on since, especially in 1999, this particular fourth or so republic. Anambra has been on an upward trajectory. So I think I expect nothing less. He will remain a staunch member, leader of in APGA, and I haven't discussed with him what his next moves in terms of politics and leadership would be, but I expect him to remain central to what we do in APGA, in governance, going forward, and with the wealth of his experience as governor and my immediate predecessor when he finally hands over, we will be tapping a whole lot from his wealth of experience as well.
So, Professor Soludo, in that same vein of people of Anambra not expecting a dramatic departure from the current blueprint and that spirit of inclusivity, what are your plans with regards to women's representation in your administration and youth representation? Governor Obiano had 6 female commissioners, I believe, and the youngest commissioner in the country, age 30, and also for people living with disabilities. What are your plans for inclusivity along those demographics?
You're not going to expect any dramatic change in that. Anambra and our population generally is a youthful population. And if you also, there's something that you must also know about Anambra. And in terms of gender, you know, people think of it only in terms of whether someone is commissioner or whether someone is this. I mean, that's not really the debate of, that's not all. You see, we got to stretch out. I am focusing on problem solving. Problem solving. If it's all women that will get it done, fair enough. And actually my record at the central bank was that those assignments that required a lot of trust and integrity at the central bank, I gave them to women as directors, and they never disappointed. So in terms of mindset, I always actually have a bias towards women. But you got to look at the gender thing also in Anambra. Anambra is a place where we don't think much in terms of either discrimination against women. No, it's not part of us. DNA, no, not at all. That's not how the society is structured. For example, 92% of the teachers in our schools, in our primary schools, are women. 87% in secondary schools are women. About 57% of all employees in the civil service are women. You can't deliver on the agenda that we have without the public sector. And the public sector is completely dominated by women. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's a no-brainer thinking about including women. You're not going to include them. They already dominate the space that you need to operate. So it's really trying to say how we are going to maximize their contributions because they're already there, so to speak. And so the youths, my manifesto is a youth agenda, and they are not going to shave their head in their absence. So they will be there. But again, the youth that we're going to get there, we're not just going to appoint people because, you are 20 years of age. No. Who will put you there because you have value to add, or that you are whatever age. Age is not the point. It is about what you offer. And without, to add to what you just said, the youngest commissioner that we had, who is still with us, very sharp, he wasn't appointed because he's youth, because of his age. He was appointed because he happened to be one of the most brilliant people that we have around. In terms of his value creation. So, and that's just the point that we want to stress. We want to move Anambra to the next, continue to move it to the next and higher levels. And everybody who has something to offer us, offer the people of Anambra, the value thing, where we'll get the person to be in. And let me also say one thing. When we are hunting, the man in the village doesn't care where the person who will fix the electricity comes from. If the person who is going to help us get 24-hour electricity is from Ruben Abati's younger brother, we'll bring him to give us 24-hour electricity. It just doesn't matter. What the people want is a service. Who cares that MTN is owned by South Africans? Do you know where they come from? They just want to make a call and it rings. And that's my mindset in terms of government and service that we're going to deliver to the people. So it's not really about sitting down to talk about what age and where you come from, what gender and this and that. You will do those of some sense, but principal consideration is the value that we'll bring to the people of the state.
Okay, one thing is certain, Governor-elect Charles Chukwuma Soludo, is that your life and the life of your family will never remain the same again. You are in a public position now. What are the plans as regards, preparing your family? At first, the First Lady of the state that will be in March, your wife, Nonye, and the children, for this circumstance that has befallen you, or this position that you have to take now, because it takes a mental toll on them. And we don't talk about these things enough in society, but it does take a mental toll. And secondly, I just quickly want to talk about a lot of children that came to visit you, on Sunday, at the celebrations on Sunday. What does the dream of those children mean to you?
Oh, thank you very much. The first, my family, and I must say, we've been through this road before. I was governor of Central Bank, my first chief economic advisor, second head of national planning, and later governor of Central Bank, who got into this revolution, banking revolution, working 24 hours a day and so on and so forth. At some point, as you said in your intro, my father was attacked, and then my family was under immense security threat that we had to even evacuate my family to the UK on an emergency basis, as it were. If I say that, and I must say that this particular journey, being governor of Anambra, my children and my wife, who were very, very, I would say, not really very enthused about it. We've had family sessions, numerous family sessions. And for my children, the question, Daddy, why? What for? What is this? They want me to just, you've paid your dues, you've done this, you've done that, and so on, very well. And they still remember what they went through and how it's born and so on and so on. But we've tried to come to terms with it in terms of the public purpose, the public good that we can serve. And I think they have come to adjust mentally and psychologically to it, in terms of my seeming absences. We found a way to deal with it when I was governor of Central Bank, where we had to evacuate them out of here. And for this one, I think building our previous experience, we will cope. They're already calling me, out through this session. The questions were, when am I going to come home? When am I going to come to see them? And all of that. And then the one in A levels is going to have an event, I think, on the 23rd. She's insisting I must be there in her school. And I'm going to go to the schools. I have to balance the one of being a good parent, for me, the first priority, the family, and then the public purpose that we must all serve. And I think they are attuned to that. They share in the vision that we can, to make the state better, you need to make sacrifice, you need to get this, albeit that sometimes, we're all selfish beings, especially when the threat to my life and all of that, they think, no, enough now, Daddy, I think it's now time, please say goodbye to this thing and let's move on. But I think they come around, so we'll deal with that in some sense. For the children, there were actually two sets. The one that I think you were showing, I think is either the second set. The first set that came, over 1,000 of them, I think they went out and then the news went in town, and then the second set surged, as it were. Those children, I must tell you, they're part of the reason for this journey. They're part of the reason for this journey. When I look in their eyes, I could almost see them. I feel a sense as if they are telling me, my future is in your hand. Don't let me perish. As you may know, many of those children that came are pupils in the school that I adopted. In my village here, I adopted a school about 10, 12 years ago, primary school that is a public school. It's a government school. And I attended to the place and I saw a kid whose uniform was torn, and the other children were laughing at him. And you see the child cringe and very uncomfortable. And I had this routine of visiting schools, visiting primary schools and secondary schools, mentoring them and so on. And that was at that day that I took a decision that this poor child, how would this child be sitting in class with his torn uniform? And I decided to adopt the school. That included providing them 2 sets of uniforms, games wear, from what they wear, shoes to everything, razor, sharpener, pencil, pen, exercise books, notebooks, to everything that they need in school. All the parent needs to do is get your child to school. That's all. Everything else is equipped the place, furnished it, fenced the place. At some point, I had 15 graduate teachers employed by me and paid by me to augment the ones of the government. And even a computer lab with 40 computers powered by solar in the school, that every child living in the school should be computer literate. And because I believe that the difference between the children of the poor and the children of the rich is opportunity. And what has brought me this far is that when I was growing up, the children of the poor and the rich attended the same schools, had the same education, taught by the same teachers. Now the children of the elite are in private schools, and the children of the poor are in community schools. And for me, bridging that gap and the opportunity is something that I want to, it's something that I live for. I live through it. And this experiment, those children that you saw, majority of them came from that school, because there are about 900 of those pupils in that school.
Professor Soludo?
In that particular school today. Yes.
Yes, I think the point on this is very well made, and we're all excited seeing those children singing. I've been trying to remember the song, but okay, I'm not very good in that direction. But quickly, I mean, your critics, particularly after the Anambra governorship debate 2021, and that confrontation between you and the candidate of the APC. They said, oh, okay, you performed best, but they thought that you were somewhat arrogant towards the 2 other candidates who took part in that debate. And that as CBN governor, your word was law. You were the CBN governor who could dictate the pace. But as governor, the situation is going to be different. You have many people who have invested in this victory, either as party members or as your friends and all of that. How are you going to manage the situation to make sure that you actually build bridges, rather than, come across as someone who is always questioning other people's intellectual capacity? Well, you have just about 2 minutes to go. Yes.
When you are Oh, thank you very much. I think the first point is that, well, I've also listened to some others' commentaries about it. You don't apologize for excellence, as it were. Maybe somebody is confident and people, some others who feel some complex might come across as being arrogant. So if you're asking 1 + 1 and he says 2, they say, no, it's arrogant. You should have said, I don't know. Teach me, and is it 2 or is it 3? But that's for another day. But for me, the debate is one thing, and that's part of the fight. I mean, you are in there to win, and the key is that we had to. And when you fight it and then fight on facts, and you don't just say that, and I will state the facts and the truth as they are at any point in time. That's my brand. But nevertheless, don't forget that I have also been part of the political process all my life. I just told you a moment ago, I was senior prefect of my school. In the university, I was a students' union leader and bargaining even with the authorities. I was in parliament. I was given an award as Distinguished Elder Statesman of Students' Union. I was in national politics as a student chairman, elected by my colleagues, chairman, students' wing of the party, my local government at the university, and coordinator of the Anambra, then Anambra and Imo, current Southeast, during the 1983 presidential campaign, coordinating the students and so on and so forth. I have been through this. I understand the art of bargaining and politicking and compromise. That's the art in this field. Don't even think, I think you are wrong to simply think that as governor of Central Bank, your award was law. You had to work with 4 deputies and a board and then a president that was presidency that was overlooking you. The art of keeping on the toe there required quite a lot of the art of you had to understand the art of compromise in public space. Now, going forward, I think the the various contending interests in all of this. Getting anything done in the public sector requires contending with different competing interests at the end of the day. Even getting legislations, the National Assembly, getting through their oversight, and getting new CBN Act in 2007 through the National Assembly. I understand a few things about how this system works. And even though we also seek improvements in how the system works, but I certainly know 1 or 2 things about that. So this is a democracy. I have been a Democrat from childhood, as I have just laid out, bantering and negotiating and compromising.
Right.
And but remaining focused on principles, as it were. There are a few key things that to me remain sacrosanct, and which is the public good, the interests of the people of the state is the one that that is the issue. That is the one that you fight for, to protect that ordinary man in the street. And I think, for me, this is what this journey is about. And you're going to work with everybody, work with different groups, but keep focused on the ball, and which is the greater good for the greater number of the people of Anambra State.
Right. As we wrap up this conversation with only a few minutes to go, as Governor, Professor Soludo, what will you do to ensure that APGA shakes off its toga as a regional party? We spoke with the national chairman of APGA, Victor Oye, just before you came on the show, and he told us about the seats that you've won outside Anambra, State House of Assembly seats, National Assembly seats. But when will APGA win elections, governorship elections, outside of Anambra State?
I guess, like every other one, this happens, that is the de facto and the jure. APGA happens to be the first progressive party that was registered in Nigeria. And its name says it All Progressives Grand Alliance, registered in 2002, before all the other ones adding progressive and progressive and progressives to itself. I think we're going to, in addition, to continue the as part of that background, the first elections that it won happened to happen in the Southeast. Just like AC and later ACN, the first elections that it won happened to be in the Southwest. And people began to see it as Yoruba Party. But forgetting that the first presidential candidate was Atiku Abubakar, who ran under the first presidential candidate of that party. It wasn't set up as a Yoruba Party. But because it won its first elections in the Southwest, people began to see it as a Yoruba. Ditto for APGA. Its first elections won here and remained in Anambra, and people began to have that toga. We're going to work very hard to mainstream neo-progressivism. And we are the ones with the neo-progressive ideas, with the neo-progressive mandate, with the neo-progressive agenda, actually. It's not just, talking progressive. I've encountered many people who belong to political parties that have also progressive in them. And you try to ask them, so what is progressive about? What's the ideology of your party? They don't even know what it is. We're going to mainstream, and in my manifesto here, they talk about the Pan-Africanist neo-progressivism as our ideology, a banter between social democratic values and that of market fundamentalism, as it were, a mishmash of both. And the moment Nigerians begin to see with clarity where the uniqueness of APGA and why the APGA agenda is the Pan-Nigeria agenda, I think, as the name says, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, people from all walks are going to begin to flood into the party. Yes, we've won elections sporadically in some places, but we're now going to build on that to really have a systematic approach to getting the rest of the country mainstreaming neo-progressivism as the agenda that Nigeria desperately needs to move forward. And I think the more people identify with that, understand that, and can relate to that, the more you are going to have a flooding of progressives. Because I talk to our Nigerians. Following this victory, we get calls. I've gotten calls from all parts of the country. Nigerians from all walks, all political parties, I must say. Chairmen of political parties, very chieftains of all political parties across the country and outside of Nigeria on this. And I'm looking forward to being able to mainstream who we are actually in terms of the content of why the All Progressives, see, that is an S to our name, All Progressives Grand Alliance. It's an alliance of all progressives. And we're gonna, building on the party to become the true alliance of all progressives in Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Charles Soludo, and congratulations once again, and thank you so much for granting us your first major interview as Governor-elect of Anambra State. Thank you.